Hey English learners, welcome back to LearnEng, your cozy little corner of the internet where we learn real English together, one easy conversation at a time. I'm David, and today we're going to talk about something that everyone thinks about every single day, but almost nobody teaches you how to discuss in English. Money. Now before you think, oh, this is going to be a boring finance lesson, I promise you it's not. We're not talking about stocks or investments or complicated banking terms today. We're talking about the everyday language of money, the real conversations people have about earning, spending, saving, and everything in between. Because here's the thing, money comes up in English conversations all the time, and not just in obvious ways. Your colleague says, I'm absolutely broke until payday. Your friend says, that restaurant is a bit pricey, shall we go somewhere else? Someone asks, is it worth it? Your flatmate says, can we split this? Your boss says, we're tightening our budget this quarter. These are normal, everyday sentences, and if you don't have the vocabulary for them, you miss the conversation. You nod and smile and have no idea what's actually being discussed. After today, that changes. We're going to cover the natural language of money, how people really talk about it in everyday English, not textbook language, real language, the kind you actually hear. And at the end, our word tour. Our slow vocabulary walk through the most useful money words and phrases so they stay with you long after this episode ends. This is a B1 level episode, perfect if you're intermediate. If you're A2, stay with me, you'll catch more than you expect. And remember, the second listen always feels easier. Before we start, if LearnEng helps your English, please like this episode and subscribe to the channel. Every like, every subscribe, every share means more learners like you find us here at LearnEng. And I love reading your comments, so come say hello after you listen. Okay, let's talk about money. Now I want to start with something a little personal. When I was younger, maybe 25, 26, I moved to a new city for work. New place, new job, new people. And I remember sitting with colleagues at lunch one day and they started talking about money. Rent, bills, saving, spending. And I had opinions. I had things I wanted to say. But I just sat there quietly because I didn't have the words in English to join in naturally. I understood the topic. I just didn't have the language for it. And that feeling of having something to say but not being able to say it, that's one of the most frustrating feelings in language learning. I know it, and I don't want that for you. So let's fix it, starting right now. First, let's talk about why money is actually an interesting topic, in English specifically, because different cultures have very different relationships with talking about money openly. In some cultures, money is discussed very openly. How much do you earn? How much did that cost? How much is your rent? These are completely normal questions. In other cultures, especially in British English, money is considered quite private. You don't ask someone directly how much they earn. You don't tell people the price of your house unless they ask. It's considered a little impolite to talk about money too directly. And in American English, it's somewhere in the middle, more open than British, but still with some boundaries. This is actually really useful to know, because it means when you're in an English conversation about money, the language tends to be indirect, soft, suggested rather than stated directly. People don't say, I don't have enough money. They say, I'm a bit tight this month. People don't say, that's very expensive. They say, it's a little steep for me. People don't say, I spent all my money. They say, I completely overdid it this weekend. That softness, that indirect, polite way of talking about money, is something we're going to practice today here on LearnEng. Let's start with talking about having money and not having money, because these situations come up constantly in everyday life. When you have enough money and things are comfortable, you might say, I'm doing okay financially at the moment. I'm in a pretty good place with money right now. I'm comfortable, nothing fancy, but everything is covered. I've been saving quite a bit lately. It feels good. When money is tight, when you don't have much, people say, I'm a bit strapped for cash right now. I'm completely broke until Friday. I'm on a tight budget this month. I'm watching every penny at the moment. Things are a bit tight right now. I've been living paycheck to paycheck lately. That last one, living paycheck to paycheck, is a very important phrase. It means your money runs out just before you get paid again. Every paycheck goes to bills and basic needs, and there's nothing left over. A lot of people live this way, and it's a very common expression in English. I'll be honest with you, there was a period in my 30s when I was living exactly like that. Every month the same cycle. Money comes in, money goes out, nothing left. It's exhausting, and being able to name that feeling, living paycheck to paycheck, somehow makes it easier to talk about, easier to share, and easier to work toward changing. Now let's talk about spending money, because English has so many natural ways to talk about this. When you spend a little too much, people say, "I completely overdid it this weekend. I went a little overboard with the shopping. I treated myself, probably more than I should have. I splurged on something, I don't regret it though. I had a little splurge, my wallet is feeling it now." Splurge is a wonderful word. To splurge means to spend more than usual on something, often something you want rather than need. And it always has a slightly guilty but happy feeling attached to it. I splurged on a really nice dinner last week. He splurged on new trainers after months of saving. We splurged on a hotel upgrade, and it was completely worth it. I splurged last month actually. New headphones, good ones. My old ones were falling apart, that was my justification. My wallet disagreed, but I don't regret it. When something costs too much, when something is expensive, people say, "That's a bit steep for me, it's quite pricey, it's not exactly cheap, it costs an arm and a leg, that's a bit out of my price range, it's more than I wanted to spend." That expression, "costs an arm and a leg," is very common. It means something is extremely expensive, almost painfully expensive. That holiday costs an arm and a leg, but we're going anyway. Childcare costs an arm and a leg in this city. Even a decent cup of coffee costs an arm and a leg in some places these days. When something is good value, when the price feels right or even cheap, people say, "That's really good value. It was a steal, I can't believe how cheap it was. It was an absolute bargain. I got it for a really good price. It didn't break the bank, it was surprisingly affordable." Didn't break the bank, another very natural expression. It means something wasn't too expensive. It didn't ruin your finances. We went out for dinner, nice place, but it didn't break the bank. The flight was long, but the price didn't break the bank, so I can't complain. I love finding something that didn't break the bank. That feeling when you expected something to be expensive and it wasn't, genuinely one of life's small pleasures. Now let's talk about saving money, because this comes up a lot in everyday conversation. I'm trying to put a bit aside each month. I'm saving up for something. I've been cutting back lately. I'm trying to be more careful with money. I'm on a bit of a spending ban at the moment. I'm trying to build up my savings. That phrase, putting money aside, means saving a portion of money regularly, setting it apart from what you spend. I try to put a little aside every month, even when it's hard. He's been putting money aside for a year to afford the trip. And cutting back means reducing your spending, buying less, choosing cheaper options. I've been cutting back on eating out, cooking at home more. We had to cut back after the car broke down. I went through a serious cutting back phase a few years ago, cancelled subscriptions I'd forgotten about, stopped buying coffee every morning, started cooking properly on Sundays so I didn't waste money on food during the week. Small things, but they added up. And that feeling of slowly building something, slowly watching a number go up instead of down, that's a really good feeling. Now let's talk about the conversations around paying, because these happen all the time, and knowing the natural language makes everything so much smoother. When you're splitting a bill with friends, dividing the cost equally, you might say, "Shall we split this? Should we go halves? Let's go Dutch. Can we divide it equally? I'll get this one, you can get the next one." Going Dutch, this is a classic expression. It means everyone pays for themselves. No one person pays for the whole thing. Are we going Dutch or is someone treating? Let's just go Dutch, it's easier. When you want to pay for someone else, To treat them, you say, "This one's on me, I'll get this. Let me treat you, put your wallet away, I've got this. It's my turn to pay." And when someone pays for you and you want to offer to pay them back, you say, "Let me pay you back, I'll transfer you my half. Can I get you next time? I owe you one, I'll get the next round." That last one, "I'll get the next round," comes from buying drinks. A round means a drink for everyone in the group. One person buys for everyone, then the next person buys the next round. But it's used more broadly now for any shared paying situation. You got lunch, I'll get the next round. I have a friend who always says, "Put your wallet away, I've got this," every single time. And every single time I say, "I'll get the next one." And somehow he always gets there first again. One day I'll win, one day. Let's talk about budgeting now, planning and managing your money. This vocabulary is really useful. I'm trying to stick to a budget. I've been tracking my spending. I went over budget this month. It happens. I'm trying to cut unnecessary expenses. I've been meal prepping to save money on food. I cancelled some subscriptions I wasn't using. I'm trying to be more intentional with money. That word intentional is interesting. Being intentional with money means making conscious, deliberate choices about how you spend rather than just letting money disappear without noticing. A lot of people talk about being more intentional these days, not just with money, but with time and energy too. It's a good word, a useful word. Write it down. Now let's talk about some money situations that are a little uncomfortable, because those happen too, and knowing the language helps enormously. When you need to say no to spending, to decline something because of money, people say, "I'm going to sit this one out, a bit tight this month. I'll give it a miss this time, trying to save. That's a little out of my budget right now. I'm trying to cut back, so I'll skip this one. Maybe next time, I'm watching my spending at the moment." Notice how indirect and gentle all of these are. Nobody says, "I can't afford it," directly. They soften it. They give a reason. They leave the door open for next time. That's the natural English way. And there's no shame in any of these responses. Everyone has months like that. Everyone. When someone owes you money and you need to bring it up, this is famously awkward in English. You might say, "Hey, no rush at all, but whenever you get a chance, that £20 from last week. I hate to bring it up, but whenever you're ready, that money from dinner. Just a reminder, whenever it's convenient, I think you still have my share from the trip." All of these are very soft, very gentle, because in English culture asking for money back, even money that is clearly yours, can feel awkward. The language reflects that discomfort. Everything is softened with no rush, and whenever you're ready, and I hate to bring it up. I once waited 3 months to bring up £20 someone owed me. 3 months. Because I kept thinking, is it too soon? Is it rude? Is it awkward? It was £20. I eventually said, "Hey, no rush at all," and they paid me back immediately and didn't even remember they owed it. 3 months of worrying for nothing. Let's now talk about earning money, because that vocabulary is useful too. She earns a good salary, he makes decent money, I'm on a fixed income, I freelance so my income varies month to month. I got a pay rise last month finally. I'm looking for something that pays better. The pay isn't great, but the work is interesting. I do it more for the experience than the money. And some natural ways to talk about financial goals. I'm trying to get out of debt. I'm working toward financial independence. I want to build an emergency fund. I'm trying to pay off my student loan. I'm saving for a house deposit. I want to reach a point where money isn't a constant stress. That last one, I want to reach a point where money isn't a constant stress. I think a lot of people listening to LearnEng right now can relate to that. Money stress is one of the most common stresses in modern life. And being able to talk about it in English, honestly, with natural language, is genuinely useful, not just for your vocabulary, but for your well-being. Because when you can name something, when you can put words around a feeling or a situation, it becomes a little less heavy, a little more manageable. Language does that. It gives shape to things. Before word tour, your mission for today. Think about your relationship with money right now, just honestly. Are you saving, spending a little too much, on a tight budget, comfortable, stressed, planning for something big. Write 2 sentences in English about your money situation right now. Use at least 1 phrase from today. You can keep it private in your notebook, or you can share it in the comments below this LearnEng episode. I promise this is a completely judgment-free zone. We're all somewhere on the money journey. There's no wrong place to be. Here's a structure if you want one. Right now I'm trying to. When it comes to money, I feel. 2 sentences, honest, yours. All right, my friend. Time for word tour, our slow vocabulary walk through today's most useful money words and phrases here on LearnEng. Take your time with these. Repeat after me out loud if you can. The more you say them, the more natural they feel. First phrase, broke. Broke means having no money or very little money right now. Not permanently, just at this moment. I'm completely broke until payday. Can I borrow 20? He spent everything on the trip and came back completely broke. Broke, broke. Next phrase, strapped for cash. Strapped for cash means short of money, tight on funds right now. A softer, more polite way to say broke. I'm a bit strapped for cash this week. Can we do something cheap? He was strapped for cash after the car repairs. Strapped for cash, strapped for cash. Next word, splurge. To splurge means to spend more than usual on something you want, with a slightly guilty but happy feeling attached. I splurged on a really nice dinner and I don't regret a single bite. He splurged on new headphones after months of using broken ones. Splurge, splurge. Next phrase, cost an arm and a leg. This means something is extremely expensive, painfully expensive. The renovation cost an arm and a leg, but the result was worth it. Childcare costs an arm and a leg in this city. Cost an arm and a leg. Cost an arm and a leg. Next phrase, on a tight budget. This means you have a limited amount of money to spend and you need to be careful with every decision. We're on a tight budget this month, so let's cook at home. He planned the whole trip on a tight budget and still had an amazing time. On a tight budget. On a tight budget. Next word, bargain. A bargain is something you bought for less than it's usually worth. A great deal, a very good price. I found this jacket in the sale. It was an absolute bargain. He loves hunting for bargains at the weekend market. Bargain, bargain. Next phrase, go Dutch. To go Dutch means everyone pays for themselves. Nobody treats the others. Are we going Dutch tonight or is it someone's birthday? We usually just go Dutch. It's simpler and nobody feels awkward. Go Dutch, go Dutch. Next phrase, put money aside. To put money aside means to save a regular portion, to set it apart from what you spend every month. I try to put a little aside every month, even when things are tight. He's been putting money aside for 2 years for this trip. Put money aside, put money aside. Next phrase, break the bank. To break the bank means to spend so much that it seriously damages your finances. Usually used in the negative, it didn't break the bank, meaning it was affordable, manageable. The wedding was beautiful and it didn't break the bank. A nice dinner out doesn't have to break the bank if you choose carefully. Break the bank, break the bank. Last phrase, living paycheck to paycheck. This means your money runs out just before you get paid again. Every paycheck goes straight to bills and basics with nothing left over. A lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck in expensive cities right now. It's exhausting living paycheck to paycheck. You never quite feel secure. Living paycheck to paycheck. Living paycheck to paycheck. Those are your 10 money phrases for today here on LearnEng. Broke, strapped for cash, splurge, cost an arm and a leg, on a tight budget, bargain, go Dutch, put money aside, break the bank, living paycheck to paycheck. Pick 2, use them this week, just once each in a real situation, or write them in your notebook with your own example sentence. That's how they become yours. That's how vocabulary actually sticks. And here we are at the end of another LearnEng episode together. I want to say something before we go. Money is one of those topics that carries a lot of weight, a lot of stress, a lot of comparison and worry and hope and fear all tangled up together, and being able to talk about it in any language takes a certain kind of honesty. In English, having the words for it means you can be part of these conversations. You can understand what the people around you are going through. You can share what you're going through. You can connect around something that is very real and very human. And that connection, that honest, practical human connection, is what LearnEng is really about. Not just vocabulary lists, not just grammar rules, but the ability to show up in a real conversation and actually be there, actually be understood. You're building that every episode, every word, every time you press play on LearnEng. Your mission: 2 sentences about your money situation right now. Use 1 phrase from today. Post it in the comments if you feel comfortable. And tell me, where are you listening from today? Morning, afternoon, or late at night? I love knowing where in the world our LearnEng listeners are at this very moment. If today's episode helped you, please like this video, subscribe to LearnEng, and share it with one friend who is learning English. It means so much, and it helps more learners find us. I'm David. This has been LearnEng, your cozy place to learn real English, one conversation at a time. And I'll see you in the next episode. Keep going, keep building. You're doing so much better than you think. Bye for now.